Welcome back to Everyday Kentucky. We are continuing our Truck Talk series with H&A Law. Lawyer John Hollan joins me now, and we are going to talk about insurance and trucks.
Yeah, thanks Madison as always for having us. This is something I'm really passionate about, and it's something I think is well overdue for change. So unlike eggs or a lot of different things in our life, trucking insurance is something that hasn't really changed. Since 1980, the minimum insurance for trucking companies in the United States has been $750,000.
And is there a certain reason why they chose that number?
Yeah, so I think in 1980, that was a number that it was a large amount of money for whether it is property damage or injuries to families, injuries to an individual. In 1980, $750,000 provided resources for damages or harm. That's a lot different than what that does today.
And so usually when people get in crashes, I know if just day-to-day people in regular cars, some people don't have insurance. If they're driving these trucks, are you allowed to drive them without an insurance?
You're not allowed to, but they still do sometimes. I say the minimum under the federal law is $750,000. That's not always the case. If you go out today and you call me and say, John, I got hit. It was a FedEx truck, an Amazon truck, UPS. Those companies aren't gonna, they're not gonna do anything that's minimum level as far as insurance. So with bigger companies, you will typically see many different levels, or what we call a tower of insurance. It could be 5, 10, I've seen up to 20 layers of insurance that some companies could have, up to hundreds of millions of dollars. It can also be with some companies with a bigger fleet or bigger size of vehicle or vehicles and drivers, they can be self-insured to some limit. So what that means is that it's not like you or I, it's our insurance. With larger companies, they maybe are insuring themselves up to some level. So it has to get above X money before our insurance applies. And that's common, especially with a lot of the bigger companies that we see.
And does that make it more tricky if they're involved in a crash?
A little. If you had to pay me something, do you think I'd have harder time getting the money from you or your insurance?
Yeah, exactly. that I answered my own question with that one. That makes total sense.
They treat it like it's their own money sometimes in that situation. But we, as I've talked about here before, whether it's Amazon, FedEx, UPS, we have gone to battle for years with the biggest companies out there. So they do resolve cases. They do ultimately compensate our clients or face a jury verdict for what they've done. But whether it's the companies themselves, their insurance carriers, they typically, when it gets to the right point, will handle the cases the right way.
And if someone needs to contact you or the law office, how do they do that?
Yeah, so our direct line is here on the bottom of the screen. Our website that has a lot more resources about the insurance scenarios I've talked about and some of these cases we've been involved in. It's semijustice.com. Our office is located here in Main Street, or on Main Street in Lexington, 620 West Main Street. And we also have our office in Louisville, and we are actively handling these cases all across the state.
Thank you so much, John, for these Truck Talks.
Thank you.